Don't.
I said I want to put this in the beginning of the video. Why you gotta be such a pain in the butt? Okay, start.
Hi, welcome to 151 Garage. I'm Jill.
I'm Sean. This is Shadow licking the table. Stop doing that.
And we are going to discuss the Bronco Grille, or his Bronco.
So, if you guys watched the last video, I talked about what I wanted to do with this, and it's kind of a Ford Raptor style grill. Now, instead of the 3 lights, I'm going somewhere different. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the Raptor grill and the 3 lights, it's usually the 3 lights on top of the very top of the grill. Now, the Ford Raptor, when it first came out, they had to do something to abide by DOT standards. And if a vehicle is so wide, there's a limit on it, and it has to have the 3 lights in the center and 1 light on either side. That signifies it's a wider vehicle.
Yeah.
Now, the Ford Raptor is that wide that it needs that, and they didn't want to put the lights on the top like the dualies, like all the dualies you see. That's mandated. You can't order a dually without those lights. That is DOT standard, and it's required by manufacturers to put those lights on regardless of whether a customer wants it or not. It's mandated to do that. Now, I do like them. My Bronco, or my Ford F-150 has it. I absolutely love the look, but I wanted something different. And I saw a picture a long time ago. I mean, this is when the Ford first came out. Yeah. And or the Ford Bronco first came out, and it was the lights in between the letters. And I've been dying to do that lately. And now that I had the grill out and I was able to, you know, work on it and look, I was able to figure out how to do it. Now, if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, sorry about the noise, it's these lights right here. Now, this one and this one are done. I was messing around and seeing if it would work. Obviously, I have the other 3 to do. Now, I'll put a picture up here of what I was thinking of before, and what it was this right here. Now, we're gonna go ahead and get you off the tripod, and we're gonna put you on the handheld. That way we can get a little better view and angle of things. That way I'm not putting it up all the time. So I'll be right back. So I was looking at doing something like this, and what this was gonna go right down the center of the space. When I was looking at it, it looked a little odd because it didn't look right. Now, I was using this right here, and this is a gloss sheet of black plastic, whichever.
Acrylic, isn't it?
Yeah, acrylic, black acrylic. Now, this is cool, but I misplaced these. I just found them right before the video. Ironically, I put them in the hammer drawer of my toolbox. Why? Because that was a place I wouldn't damage it. I would never forget it. Obviously, I forgot where it was until today, so. This right,
I we needed a hammer lately.
But that was lucky, because this right here is a sheet of satin on one side, and this is perfect. Because even though it's dirty right now, it's got stuff on it, look at how close that is to the texture. Now, if you look here real closely, you see that it's textured, and it almost matches the texture of this, like, perfectly. It really does. Same color, same texture, same everything. So I ended up cutting these, cutting the sheet of it down to be able to put this on. Now, I use a miter saw. Whatever you use, be careful. I used a miter saw. I only cut the miter saw, or cut it this way. I didn't try to cut little pieces. I just used a hacksaw to cut it, which is right here. And I cut it into small squares. These right here will fit behind it, right there, and I won't have to worry about it. Now, I do have to drill a hole in these, which is fairly simple. I'll go through the process of finding the center. Is basically, for me, I put a piece of tape over it because I don't want to scar up this right here. And I do want to draw a line from one corner to the other, back and forth. Obviously, the center of it will be the X. And I'll go ahead and do that real quick. And I'll be right back. So what I was talking about is I went ahead and wrapped it with tape. That way when I do drill, I don't scar anything. It also keeps it from, you know, flaking up and stuff like that. Now, I will draw an X. I do have the perfect template because that is a straight line. I used it when I cut the, on the saw. And then I'll just use the X on here. So, corner to corner. So that's the center. So, very carefully, we drill it out. Now, I don't want to drill straight in the table, so I have a nice piece of foam.
XPS foam or something?
Yeah. Sheet of foam. I think I used that on the door. So.
Be careful when you do this.
My suggestion is go real slow. Don't go gunning it because it will move this. If it catches, it'll swing underneath it. It'll spin underneath your hand. Just do real slow. Pull the tape off and go from there. Okay, so there's a little bit of cleanup I gotta do, which is fine. That's on the back side. I didn't want to have a lot on the front. Now, I do have to take this one out, but these are what you're gonna end up looking like. So it does have the light in the center on both of them. It's pretty decent. It's nice. Now, let me go back a little bit. The way I measured this is not by tape measure, is I put a piece of tape on the back side of it like this. Right? Mm-hmm. And I just marked with a fine tip Sharpie the edges, and then I trimmed it out and put it on this sheet to figure out how wide I want it. The reason being is tape measures, you can kind of guess something, but something that small, it may be just a little bit off. And I want it to be tight enough to where I could put it in there and it wouldn't fall out while I was gluing it. Now I do use epoxy to glue it in. Yeah, I do use that epoxy to glue it in. Everything I bought for this is on Amazon, and I'll have it all linked down below. So let me go ahead and set up the table to be able to put them in and epoxy it. We'll be right back. Now that I got all these cut, I put these two in. You will have to trim if you cut them a little bit wider. I had to trim this one because these were a little bit off, and I just had to trim the top edge down, so it works fine. As you put these in, do not gauge the fact that it's centered by these tabs. Make sure to go ahead and flip it up all the way over if you need to, and look at where they are in the center of these, because depending on the letter, it might not be. Now, I ended up putting this one in the other day, and I thought it was centered by the tabs right there, and it wasn't, because the letters are a little bit over and they didn't look right. So I ended up having to pull it back out and recenter it. Now that I know these two are centered, these two are already centered and glued in, I'll put the last one in. It's fairly easy. Now, you can use it as a gauge, but also flip it over. Now, if you cut it right,
That's the key. You gotta cut it right.
Yeah, measure 8 times and cut once. Or if you have plenty of it, measure once and cut 8 times. It doesn't matter. You still have plenty. That sheet will do all these if you need to, multiple times. Now, what you'll do is just push it in there, and it literally is just a press fit. Like, it's perfect.
A pressure fit, yeah.
Yeah, press to fit. Pressure fit, whatever, friction. So that right there. Now that I have it in, I'll flip it over and verify that it's centered, which it is. Ironically, I actually put it in the centered the first time. So all of these are centered. Again, these are already glued. I'll go ahead and glue these. Now, one of the things I'd advise, if you do not epoxy very well, like you kind of like a epoxy like a 2-year-old paints, I suggest use tape and put it on the other side of this, just to make sure that when you do epoxy, it doesn't fall and drip into the thing. Now we'll go ahead and show you what we're doing, or what we're talking about, and we'll be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and get this. I need to get a stir stick, which I know she has, and then we'll go ahead and mix up the epoxy and put them in there, okay? Now that we're facing the other way. So the last thing you wanna do is, like I said, tape up right here. You also advised to flip it up and verify that everything's centered. Does everything look centered, Jill? From here over?
Yep.
Here over is too late because it's already glued. So all this is JB Weld, actually. So it's just quick setting epoxy. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna push this out. It's already,
Try to pull the wire.
oh, there we go. Comes out in 2 halves.
Hence why you got popsicle sticks, so you can mix them together.
Also, I'd advise to put tape on something, whatever you use. My suggestion is put tape. That way, when it's dried, you can just peel it up and throw it away. Don't mix them on the table. There is some epoxy on the table. That's from something else. Mix it up real quick.
This is why it's important to have multiple stir sticks on hand.
So all you do on this is just epoxy the back side of it. Now what it's going to do is it's basically going to glue everything together. This side's already done, kind of sloppy, but I suggest to let it set for 24 hours. And what I'm going to do after that is go ahead and wire this all up together. That way it's out of the way, the wires themselves, and run it up to the passenger side, which would be,
I think it's that side.
sorry, the driver's side, which would be this
Yeah,
side. So
side.
we'll wire it up here because that's where I plan on doing some other wires. And then we're just going to tie everything up and hide it back behind, and then wire it up to this headlight. And we'll show you where to do that and how to do that tomorrow. Before you leave it here, I usually go ahead and flip it upside down, or right side up basically. That way, if it does drip, it will not drip down into your grill where it's supposed to be matte finish. It will show up as a shiny residue on there. Flip it upside down. We'll do that. We'll pull the towels real quick. Like
Hang on,
that.
peeps.
You okay?
I didn't want to step on that.
Okay.
Okay, we back.
So now that we have this back up, we'll go ahead and let it dry, and we'll be back tomorrow to do all the wiring for it. Okay.
All the little lights. It look so good.
I actually started running the wires along to the driver's side. So this is the driver's side. And I started wrapping it with this. Now this does dual purpose. One, it protects the wires, it keeps everything together. But another thing it does, let me close this out and get it out of the way, is even though it is upside down, when you look at it, so look through here, see, you can't see this.
Hang on, peeps.
You can see a little bit of it, but if you look down the other one, you'll be able to see all the red sticking out, like right down through here. You'll see the red. So the last thing you want to do is just zip tie it all together, then have the red show through the letters when you get to that point. Now, what we are going to do is finish wrapping this. all this is just small sections of this. You can use whatever you want. If you want to use like the plastic wire loom or whatever, all it is this. And it's basically just a mesh. It's most of the wiring inside the Bronco is wrapped in this anyway, so it's actually fairly easy.
I love that stuff.
It's probably one of the best
It looks
things.
so stock when you do things like this. It makes it look professional.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these off. So choose how you want. I have a wire that's going to come up from here. It's going to tie all these wires to one, and then the plug. I'll explain the plug in a little bit. Now I zip tie every one of them together. That way it keeps it from sliding. Also adds a little bit more rigidity to the wire bundle itself. The reason I'm throwing all this stuff on before is when I go ahead and put it together, I can't put the heat shrink over this. So I have to put all the heat shrink on, then run these on. So what these are, I'll lay them right here. What these are is they're not crimp connectors, but there's solder in it. So what we'll do is we'll twist all the wires together and we'll put the solder, we'll put the heat gun on it and it'll solder everything together. So
That's probably the best thing they ever made for those.
yeah.
Because that way you don't have to get separate wire to solder and wrap it or heat shrink around it. That's all built into one. And we got that because it's waterproof as well, so.
Yeah, the blue on the end is a seal. Now this, I can just push this all the way over and push everything through. I just got to get a longer wire for it. So we'll go ahead and heat shrink this and we'll be right back.
All right, so we have the heat shrink all done.
Okay, so I did put the seal underneath and I put double heat shrink. So the heat shrink only goes right past it, but I wanted to make sure I got as far out as possible. So the heat shrink's only overlapped by like that much. But there you go. And what I'll do is I'll wrap this wire loom all the way down, then trim it off and make sure everything's zip tied up to there. So this is fairly easy. Okay, so there you go. Now, let me flip this back up. I will flip it around so it's facing the right way. Now, if you look, you won't see
Hang on. I gotta flip the camera.
You won't see all the wires underneath it. So you won't see the wires, the red wire sticking through all the holes. It's the black wire loom that you'll see. You may see it a little bit, but remember everything back here is going to be black anyway, so it's going to be hard to see. We'll go out, take out the headlight, and show you what wire we're hooking up to on the driver's side. So
we are.
Okay, so we already wired this up. We did this off camera. Really didn't need to show you how to splice in wires. We did that over there. We use the same method with the soldered connectors such as these. So we use the same method. We taped it all up. We put the wrapping over it. That way it protects it. Now, how we found the wire we needed. Now, we do have a light right here. And what it is when you stick it in the end, it actually shows the light going on. Now, the one thing with this is the yellow and purple wire is always power. It always has power. So if you hook it up to that one, you're always gonna have power running to your lights. It'll never shut off. The one that is the parking lights is the green and brown wire, which is, let's see if I can get it out of the way, right there. So if you look at the plug, it's the bottom one down here. Now I'll go ahead and have Jill open that door. So hang on. So right there you see no power on that side, right?
Yep.
So I'll go ahead and open that door real quick. Oh, you might have to turn on the whatever lights. Okay. So see, these lights are on right here. Now this right here is on. So it's the green and brown wire. No, it's off right now. Go ahead and kick it on. Okay. There you go.
Ta-da! Ooh, that's gonna be so hot at night.
So we'll go ahead and put it back together. You don't need to see that, and we'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Okay, so there's the final product. It actually turned out really good. I like it. So these right here, the textured piece that I got matches perfectly with the texture on this, so it looks stock. Now I do have different headlights coming for these, as well as ditch lights, and we'll see those in a couple videos. Now, Jill?
I like it. Instead of having the Raptor Grille where the lights are up here, it's all the way across. It's very unique. It's going to give it a different appeal.
It's definitely going to be noticeable at night. So it is kind of gloomy outside right now. It is getting late, or later. Plus the clouds don't help much. But that is definitely going to be neat. It's going to look different with all the orange across, and then the orange on the ditch lights too. So
now, drop a comment down below if we should get the lights right here.
Yeah. So they have options for lights here. There's lighted, they replaced these basically.
Yeah.
And they have lighted versions of it. They're smooth and are lighted. They also have ones that are just like these, but they have the orange or white in it. Now granted, I will do orange because everything on the front of my car will be orange.
Now if you want to see what those look like, I've been working on the website. Just go under the SEMA 2023 pictures and it's going to be in there somewhere.
Okay. I hope you guys like this, because this actually was fun for me. I've been wanting to do this since
you got it.
Before. I seen this picture probably 3-4 months before I got my vehicle a year ago, or more than a year ago.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited that I'm able actually to do this portion of it. Hope you guys like it. You know, we do have a lot of things coming to this vehicle. We do have a lot of items coming for this vehicle and stuff we still have planned. We still have a bunch of stuff in the garage which we have to put on these vehicles. We're trying to do as much as we can with the time we have left from doing all the other stuff we need to do.
And now that it's wintertime, it's not so horribly hot and humid to work on these cars, and plus this one is not going to burn my hand when I touch it.
Yeah, so anyways, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check us out on Instagram for some of the things that may come up, because we are putting pictures of some of the things we are doing future-wise to the vehicle. So, and
make sure that you check out the website. I've been tweaking it a lot this past week, spending 4 hours a night on it.
151garage.com.
Yep.
So, see you later. Bye.
Bye.